It is 6:30. This meeting is called to order. Are there any additions or deletions this evening?
I have one. I'd like to ask permission of the board to apply for the grant, tree planting grant.
Does that have to be in this meeting or can it be in the next one?
No.
You're not sure? Okay.
I thought that was.
If we can do it in the next meeting, put it in the agenda for the next meeting.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Great. So there's no additions or deletions. We are looking at the minutes from the meeting of November 18th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Okay. Please look it over and see if you see anything. Okay, not hearing anything. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Now we have the pay orders.
I'll make a motion to discuss the pay orders for December 3rd, 2024, totaling in $24,928.21.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Are there any questions?
The front door camera, are we holding off on paying that for the moment?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to remove that from the pay orders?
Well, Julie can just hold the check until it's completed.
Okay.
Okay. So hearing no other questions, all those in favor of approving the pay orders?
All right.
So moved. Okay. Moving on. It doesn't look like
There's room. He's coming. Oh, we can just move on until
So
he
move
gets here.
on. Honorable mentions to Tony Cirilli for donating a photograph of White Rocks to Town Hall. All the individuals, organizations, and businesses who donated to the Boy with Boot Fund, and to Tom Fort for his extensive and ongoing assistance with energy projects at Town Hall and the Town Garage. Very much. Do we have any public comments this evening? No? Okay. So we are moving on to the fiscal year 26 budget, public safety.
I did send Kathy some numbers, if you have those.
Yep.
Sandy
Yep.
and Kathy.
Yep. Yes. They all have them.
So basically, that's what I'm looking at. I mean, it's increases based off salary, insurances, which are a continuing battle, cruiser costs, and stuff like that, which equivalent to what we get with the 6% increase for next year.
So do we want to put that in as, that goes under special officer contract,
Yes, it does.
correct?
Yes.
You want to just put it in as 67.5 and,
We brought up a couple different times about potentially needing more hours, so is that something
Yes.
you want to discuss? and see what.
Is
the
this for the
options
same amount of hours that we have now?
I'm sorry?
Is this for the same amount of hours?
Yeah,
that we
that's
have
based
now?
on the 24 currently, that,
Okay,
yes.
so this is based on 24.
I was on the board when we started contracting to the sheriff's department.
Yes.
L.D. Jones, Lee Jones, $11
Yep.
an hour.
Yeah, days are gone.
Yeah, well, I'm sure still a bargain, you know. I mean, what was then
Yeah.
is now too.
Does anybody want to see about what it would be to increase the hours? Or?
I mean, I know before staffing wise, you can't guarantee because you've been, is that getting any better?
It is, and I hate to talk out loud about it, but it's,
Yeah.
yeah, knock on wood. It looks like I may have 2 more hires, around the first of the year, that are full-time level 3 certified officers, so, but like I said,
Yeah.
that can change tomorrow if they decide they
I
want
know.
somewhere else. So, I mean, I could entertain the possibility at this point of more hours, and depending on what happens with that staffing option,
32 puts it about 85,000.
So 32 is 85.
yeah, I believe Clarendon is,
Oh, wait a minute.
I think they're at 30 hours a week.
And what's the cost of that for 30?
They're basically, you guys are about the same per hour per cost.
Okay.
How many hours are you,
84 for 30.
Here in town, currently 24 a week.
24?
84?
A week, yeah.
For 30 hours.
Yeah, I think we started out half shift at 20, but
Yeah, I just know
Yes.
with everything that's been going on.
So we'd be looking, if we increase the hours to 30, that would be an increase of about $20,000.
And, I mean, because this, we're still not up to the number of hours per week we were.
No.
We were at 40.
Right, so, and I know we've been trying to incrementally get back to some point, so it's not a huge jump.
It's been quite busy, call responsive wise
Yeah.
in town. More so within the last 5 years than it has been. Not really sure why, but it's all around. Even Clarendon has increased, where they were generally pretty quiet for the most part, because they don't really have a village area.
Where we do.
You do, so now things, it seems like it's, of course, everywhere has picked up to an extent, but we're not in the Rutland realm or Burlington realm at this point, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We did have I don't know if you heard, we had a swatting call,
yeah,
which it just scares me to death for that to happen, and, you know, not to mention we have all these resources rushing to that location at high speed, and, you know, everybody's angst up, so it was, fortunately, nothing was there, but I mean, still a,
but, yeah,
you know, scary situation for the homeowners, and
Oh,
and with the, I know there seems to be an increased number of car accidents down South Wallingford area, and,
yes, for some reason, it's, South Wallingford, Mendon, and Pittsburgh seem to have had an increase over the last 3 years, so.
and I know, the offshoot besides the village feels they never see anybody, because all the calls, they are taking up the precious 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's with the 24 hours, if we get I know my officer had a DUI arrest a couple weeks ago, so you make the arrest, and that's all fine and done, you're done with that in about 4 hours, but then you're spending another 8 to 10 doing paperwork. So that's 10 hours out of 24 that you're in the office writing up everything to get it to go to court.
For one
Arrest, and if you add something else in there, like an assault or a vandalism or something like that, you know, quite honestly, 17 to 18 hours a week can be spent on paperwork in an office.
Yeah,
yeah.
so with all that
So-
increases, I mean, I think we should,
So 28 hours puts us at 78,000 roughly. 30 hours at 84,000 and 32 hours at 87,000.
So 24 was how much?
24 is what we have
This
now.
is 67.
67.
And then you said 28.
28 hours is 78,000 roughly. It's in change.
There's something, I don't know what it is, but the idea of going to that $80,000 mark makes me wary. Because it's gonna keep on going up. So I wonder if we do want to increase it a little bit, do that 4 hours and stay at like 78, something underneath it, just so that we have an idea if this is going to be used.
I actually thought that was a good starting point. We can see if those 4 extra hours a week are well used, and we can sort of incrementally
Right.
increase and use that data that we
That
get.
should take,
My hopes are between, whatever you're considering for an increase in hours in Clarendon, because currently I use basically one person between the two towns. So my hope is to get enough hours so I can use 2 people, so that way, okay, somebody has a busy shift and they're tied up on paperwork, the next guy's shift, he doesn't have that. So he'll be free to be out and about. I mean, eventually he'll end up, he or she will have some paperwork, but it does lessen the load with 2 people versus one that catch cases that they have to set and complete before court, so.
So if between Clarendon and Wallingford, you had 58 hours a week, I don't know if that supports 2.
I make it work. I mean, I've got, Shrewsbury and Mount Holly that are small contracts that we can tag on to whoever got the other portion
Gotcha.
of these 2 towns.
Okay.
And some day of the week, but.
Okay.
So would that be, if we only did 4, would that?
Yeah, I mean, whatever, as at this point, I can say I could probably cover that. Like I said, depending on the future.
Right.
But if you want to look at 28, I can build a contract around 28. I mean, by the time I'm sending Sandy the contract, I'll know if I'm going to have the
Right.
personnel for it.
Okay.
But, we can build it at 28 and, I'll leave the rate as it is for what we have billed for 24, so. And we'll try to build from that.
Okay. So what's the,
78, 725, 92, 79.
and did we need a motion for that? Or is
no,
it-
we can just plug it in now.
Okay.
We'll vote later on in the whole budget.
Okay, there we go.
Good with that?
Then we're gonna go for that extra 4 hours.
Okay. We'll plan on that and hopefully everything works out for all of us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
everything.
Does anybody have any questions? Because I'm gonna
No.
go home.
Yeah, scoot.
Go home to Judy.
Yeah, she's not there right now. but
Yeah, what am I thinking? It's only
be there shortly,
6:45.
so, yeah. All right, good night, everyone.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
The road commissioner.
Okay. Road commissioners.
I'm here.
What?
Well, we got through the first storm, a little rocky, but we got through it. Couple issues we had, we weren't caught off guard with the snow differences between here and there. There were very little down here and quite a bit more up Sugar Hill, we got caught
Yeah.
off guard
Okay.
and stuff, so. But they got through it and stuff, so I don't think there was any major breakdowns or anything the first round. But we got through it. I know he is gonna change some cutting edges and stuff and chain up a few more things and get that ready. As far as, sand and stuff, that we're gonna, he hauled a lot of that, but I don't think they hauled any part of what was budgeted. I think it's still a fair amount. And
Were
they're
they
gonna-
drawing it in today?
What's that?
Were they drawing it in today?
No, Pike's closed.
Yeah.
The only time they'll draw it in is if they get enough people to open up for a day.
Uh-huh.
You know, if one of the towns asks
Oh, I got
to
you.
haul some.
Okay.
Because we're already outside the building and it doesn't
I
make
see.
sense to
Yeah.
stockpile it where it's just gonna get wet and froze up. so.
Right.
What about salt?
No, actually, I don't know what's going on with salt. They have plenty of salt. They had salt this trip.
Okay.
I know that. Steve was salting again this morning.
Okay.
Has he called any in?
I'm not sure. I'm just curious if he had some.
I haven't
Stocked
talked to him
out.
on that today. I see he was out salting, didn't get a chance to talk to him. I talked to him Thanksgiving, because I went out with a little truck for a little while, cleaning up some of the roads and stuff, so. But I don't think other than that, other than this solar
Yeah.
thing, I'm not. Did they actually look at this? I didn't read through this.
Yeah, we'll get that.
That's later?
That's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's actually coming up next, so soon.
Was there anything else I been
Just
out?
remind them to use their chains.
What's that?
Remind them to use their chains.
Yeah. Okay, so is there anything else?
No,
for
I
that?
don't have anything else. Everything else is pretty good.
Okay, well, one storm down, we'll see how many more we got.
Now, hopefully the next one's a little smoother.
First one's always miserable.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Well,
I actually put chains on the tractor and I went, really?
Yeah, well, because you get anything down the street.
Come out of my house.
that's the difference, yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you. Let's see,
Constable budget.
Yeah. Constable.
He left. Well, I don't know. I got concerns about getting a radio that is on with the sheriff's department. Only because I'd almost I don't think we want to, for one parade or two parades a year, I don't think we want to go down that street, down that road. Because we won't be allowed to use it any other time,
Oh, okay.
because it's for emergency use only, or, you know, what's the word I want, it's public safety. So,
Right.
And now everything goes through the sheriff.
right. I mean, if they have a portable they want to loan, that's one thing, but, I mean, the other option we have is you can go buy like a pack of 4 of the little rechargeable ones. They're good for 3 miles,
Yeah.
and they're a lot less cheaper than that.
Yeah,
Mark,
but
let me, because I'm the town constable.
Yeah, no, I know.
Let me explain to you the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
And the price points, okay?
Yeah.
Because there are 3 different price points for these radios. One of the price points is as low as $300. One of the price points is roughly $900. And the third price point, with a full boat, so to speak, is $1,330 roughly.
Right.
The 2 issues regarding the radios. Number one, the lower price one is one which will function now, but will not function in the future, because most public safety organizations are going to what's called P25 technology, which is a digital technology. And that lower price radio will not upgrade. The $900 radio is the same as the $1,300 figure. The $900 radio is without the upgrade, but the $900 radio can be upgraded. The problem when it comes to the radio and the need for a radio is twofold. First, the parade. I'm on the fire department, and that's the only reason you're getting the radios right now.
Only reason what?
That you're getting the 3 radios.
Because it's on the fire department.
Because in essence, what you're doing is you're taking one area of public safety and you're leaving it deficit to satisfy another area of public safety. And if you understand how many radios we have on that fire department, you're taking a large percentage of them for a period of time. Some
I don't understand why you need one.
Well, here's the second problem. First for the parade, of course, because
First what?
for the parade.
Oh,
I can't see the sheriff's officers in the south or the north. They can't see me. I'm at the four corners. The radio the radios from the fire department do not communicate with the sheriff's radios. They've never offered us the loan of a radio. So I've ended up having to get 3 radios from the fire department just so that we could communicate. And that just can't go on, I'm told.
the cell phone doesn't work?
That's the other problem, which is why I've been mentioning a radio.
But for the parade, could you use the cell phone?
Beg your pardon?
But for the parade, because it's just go and stop.
If it works. I can tell you that my cell phone down here, at least 50% of the time, says no network available. And
down in the village?
the way I'm going to get a cell phone to work is I drive part of the way into Rutland. Then my cell phone works. Up where I live on Ice Bed Road, the minute I get in my car, it comes up, no network available.
Okay.
If there's even a slight storm,
It's down here, for sure.
if there's even a slight storm, no cell phone. So if I'm out there trying to see something and trying to say something, I can't communicate with anyone. And in support of what Sheriff Fox said, being on the fire department, the last 3 calls we got in the last 2 weeks were all accidents. One of them was broad daylight right here in town. The driver left the scene and his car apparently was quite damaged, but he still left the scene and left 2 people, older individuals, who fortunately were not hurt, with a car totally smashed in. The second one was a much more serious accident down here on Route 7. 3 vehicles were involved. One individual certainly appeared to be impaired. And that individual apparently had been, his driving habit had already been radioed into the state police, but it was too late, I guess, by the time the accident occurred. The third individual was just yesterday morning, or this morning, where there was a rollover on Route 7, where actually rescue was called, and then they called it back because the car was rolled, but the individual had left the scene again. So the point I'm trying to bring out is without a radio, without any communication, even if I see something, I'm not able to respond or to let anyone know that this is a problem. And it goes further because,
But you're not allowed to let anybody know anyways.
well,
You're a constable with no authority. If
You have to call 911.
you have to call
You
911,
have to
just
call
like a
911.
normal citizen.
Right.
You can't have a radio. My concern with the radio is one, is it getting abused? And if the officers that use the radios on a daily basis go through training specifically to use the radios, that's a, what's it, 8-week or a 2-week course? You stay there, you go through
As part of their.
as a part-time officer, you become a part-time certification.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something you really want to do.
Which I
'cause
think we looked at before, the role of the constable
Right.
negates any of that.
It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
I
So,
don't have any trouble doing the certification.
But it
I don't
doesn't
think it's-
follow
I don't think
through
it's
with the
probable
constable.
that I can do it.
Right.
Because they've made it such that it's almost impossible for any constable
Right,
to get certified.
right.
yes.
And I understand there is a constable association that's trying to deal with that, but
I mean, I just think it opens up a brand new
Issue.
yeah,
It's also, is there,
someplace we don't
I
want.
suppose the point of the radio would only be to use it in an emergency.
But we have, it,
but we would have, I imagine we'd have to have license to be able to actually get onto those frequencies.
you're gonna have to have permission from,
You have to have
I would
permission.
presume, from the sheriff's department
Right.
to utilize their frequency. And if you have an accident and you have a fire department radio, you can call dispatch, who in turn can call the
That
sheriff's
would be
dispatch.
the only way we could do it.
Well, that's the way that every other town around does it.
That's the only way we can do it.
Right.
Right,
And of course, the radio arrives with the truck. So I don't have a radio
Right.
that I carry with me
Right.
from the fire department. I have to wait for a truck to arrive to get the radio.
Right.
right,
To be able to do it.
Yeah, so
Um,
that's as your role as a fire, not as constable at that point.
right.
Yeah, I'm rolling as fire. Yeah.
Right, so-
Right. So at that point, if the fire department would like to get you a radio, that's their
But that's a
prerogative.
different story entirely.
Right,
Right, but I'm just saying, if you're going to the fire as a fireman, you're not going to the fire as a constable.
No,
So so your constable duties, in my eyes, don't show the need to have a radio that, other than the parades.
other than the parade.
And
Yeah, we're gonna have
there's ways
to-
around that, so.
We're gonna have to figure out what that workaround is, because I just can't keep begging the fire
Yeah.
department for
Well,
radio.
like I said, they sell little, two-way radios that people use for hunting and other things that are good for
You're
3
sure
miles.
those will work?
I mean, on this distance and this,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Frank's
Yeah, I don't know.
lines.
On 3 miles, you're almost a line of sight, or not quite, but close
Yeah.
enough.
I'd
Yeah,
say
I-
$50 ones that
Me.
work that far.
I don't know if you have one or not, Phil, but,
Nope, I know.
I mean, from ones I've seen,
and depending on the type of cell phone you have, I know that I walk around town here in the village often, a lot on the parade route actually, and, I've never had a problem with cell service here in the village.
Especially because like the tower's on top of, top of town hall, so.
And now,
I can only tell you
there's
what I'm
service all the way to
experiencing.
East
Yeah.
Wallingford, almost, there's like one place it glitches. Not Sugar Hill, but all the way, I have service where I never had service before.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now I don't up there where I am, for example.
So I said,
And
not,
there's areas of Hartsboro Road where I can tell you
there's
there's no
sections
service
still,
whatsoever.
but
Church Street has no service for AT&T.
that's,
That
Yeah,
tower.
That's
I've found that
not
out too, because
service.
I've talked to people who have
No service.
AT&T, I have Verizon,
Yeah.
I've talked to people who have
I have Verizon.
T-Mobile,
And
and they're telling me the same thing.
I have Verizon as well, and my
One area
Verizon is
works, the
never.
next area doesn't.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
seems to be.
All right,
And I can get up through Church Hill.
Be happy to, see the town pay for his tuition to go.
We, doesn't,
we
no.
can't,
can't.
it's
No.
not,
Why not?
he has to be sponsored by a law enforcement organization in
Yes.
order to go.
Huh?
Yeah, it's not like before.
Right.
There's,
Yeah.
constables have like very little,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then he would have to become a special officer, no longer a constable.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
I mean-
it's another world.
it's not us,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
state.
Certification is only by invitation then, you're saying?
By job position.
By job, if you get hired by the sheriff's department, they'll pay you to go to the
Yeah.
academy.
Yeah,
But-
But
because
if somebody wants to get their certification first and then go get a job, you
Nope.
can't.
Can't go.
No, I had taken the test for the test for the sheriff's department for Bennington. And I passed the test, all that, and we were going on to the next stage. But the process is relatively slow, and in between I got hired by the TSA, then I got hired by the DOD, and then I was assigned to the military. So during all of that process, we still hadn't completed the work down in Bennington. So I just said, no, I can't wait any longer, sorry. And that's what happened. It is a process. It's unfortunately, even for someone who wants to become a full-time officer, it's a very, very slow process. It's not quick.
Must be a reason for it.
I would almost wonder also if it's, because it does feel a pretty large expense, especially with everything else and with taxes going up this year,
Sure.
like to do it just for that one time. I wonder if there is a way to research it, maybe a longer distance than just like a $50 two-way, that like you could have in the cabs for the road department, and then they could be borrowed for Wallingford Day or for the parade or any other things. Wondering if that might be a way to kind of meet in the middle so that we would have something that would be a multifunction situation.
We could see about. What do we think about the sign? Having an extra sign?
I would, the one thing I would say about the sign right now is that because the seal of the town is not on it at all, it looks completely not.
But it just says Constable Town of Wallingford.
Right, so it's
That's all
like,
that's on there.
yeah, I know, but just right now that it looked like anybody could have went over to Staples, get
Oh,
a
yeah,
magnetic side or
I
even
agree.
on, yeah.
That's it.
So just wondering, I don't feel comfortable doing another sign that's going to be something like that, because then it just feels,
And
It's not official,
that
yeah.
sign, by the way, one of the doors, it's already slipping off and peeling off.
Right.
They're magnetic,
right,
but the minute they get anything under them, they start to come right off.
yeah.
So they're not very stable, I can tell you that. Did you, I know this is a budget hearing, and if I have a moment to say something, the parking area over by the hiking trail, have you addressed any concern that I raised about that or not?
Oh, we
Do you
did,
want to?
We just,
Yeah.
yeah, we had it
Discuss
last session, I think we talked about it.
about the overnight,
Yeah,
about the no parking at,
yeah,
One of the things I'm doing is I'm driving through there at night, usually late if I'm coming back from Rutland or wherever. And consistently, and I don't mean every night, but consistently, there's cars there. Even at this time of year, left. Nobody in the car. The car is just left and the vehicle is there. And I've seen one or two cars there, and I'll swing around, come back, go up near the school or something and come back down, and they're either still there or gone.
I think
They
there's,
can't be using the hiking trails, they shouldn't be parking overnight there. And again, going back to my pager, that I hear all these calls coming in for the fire department and for all the other rescue, et cetera. Invariably, maybe once or twice a month, you hear about somebody slumped over the wheel of a car. I've even heard one where a guy was slumped over the wheel of a car with a needle in his arm. That parking area is a bit of a concern that someone's going to take advantage of it for something that they shouldn't. And so I would think if it were posted that there's no parking there, and a car is there, even if I had a little flyer or something that I could put on the car that says you're illegally parked, please don't park there
You can't do
again.
that.
Right.
Well, just the sign itself then, would it be a deterrent?
yeah.
I mean, part of it is though, people do park there late at night for recreational reasons. I mean, two people do like to, stargaze and use that area, so it's,
And unless we actually have a real verified bona fide constant problem, I don't feel comfortable restricting anybody's access to that,
Because-
no matter what time
I know
of day.
people
Yeah, even
park
if it
there in the
is.
summer and hike over to the lake.
Right,
and there's nothing wrong
Because
with that.
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. The only thing is, the gate, I know, is locked.
but that's
there's
just so that they don't
nothing
Oh,
park
no,
back
the only
there.
reason I'm asking that is, do the emergency services, because I've never asked before, does the fire department, for example, have a key to that gate? And does the rescue squad have a key to that gate?
Yeah, they do.
They do? Both departments? Okay, because I was thinking, if we ever got a call, the fire department, we have wire cutters, but I don't know about the rescue department, or the rescue squad.
Yep, they have a key.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think we've addressed? Thank you
I'm
for
fine
it.
with it.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank
Cool,
you.
thank
Thank
you.
you very
for your
much.
time. Yep, bye.
Moving on.
You want to put a dollar amount to that?
Yes. So the dollar amount for that, I think, is a $250 stipend.
So that's how we do budget now, huh?
Yay, boy.
Okay. And now moving on to town hall heating and cooling.
Your assessments are in front of you, for both the sand shed and yours. FYI, they're gonna be installing heat pumps next week.
Oh, great,
Great.
fabulous.
I don't know if everybody's read it, but the conclusions are grim for both locations. When they were doing any of their, when the actual solar companies were doing their assessments, were there any assessments at different parts of the property just to see how light was in case we wanted to build like a simple, like standing metal structure that would hold them?
They made, the assessments were based on the location of the town garage and the
Okay.
location of the sand shed.
Okay,
But if we were to build something, if we were to, I mean, the recommendation on the paper is, replace the sand shed. So if you were doing the same location, it would be, you assume a similar number of panels would be required to get the energy that you're trying to get.
okay. I guess the tough thing is getting the CPG, getting that set, and then also trying to think about investing in what sounds like a brand new sand shed would be the only way around it to put the structure on. We need it, but that throws a wrench into getting things done by next year. Right?
Yeah, so maybe I can just give you like a 3-minute overview of
Please.
the options. So, I think there's kind of 3 potential options to think about. One is 2 of them are on the property of the town garage, and one of them is next door at the rescue building. Okay, so at the town garage, the 2 buildings that were assessed, the sand shed, you've seen the report, so the recommendation is you don't want to put anything on that.
Yeah.
The recommendation is probably, at some point, I want a new structure there.
Right.
So I did get, I don't know if you forwarded that, Cindy, or not, but I did talk to, the engineer did give me a couple other towns in Vermont that have undergone a similar project.
Right, the retrofitting for.
Yeah, so their projects looked a little bit more expensive than probably something we would want, but it gave you a rough idea of the price tag between $500 and $700.
Yeah.
If we were to do that, obviously then you would have to, based on the CPG, we could still submit a CPG this year for that location.
Okay.
And whether we use the town garage or a new sand shed, that CPG would accommodate that location.
Okay.
Okay, so the idea would be we would still submit that this year, since we took that out of the RFP for the bidding. We could do that offline. I think we said it was $250 for both the consultant and the filing.
Right.
For one
Okay.
for one CPG. So we'd have to, then you're really racing the clock though, if you take that route, because you'd have to do a design, a build, and a solar install all in that next calendar year.
Right.
Now, the guy from Green Earth Energy, who's also the gentleman who will be submitting, working as consultant to submit the CPG, he said he has seen CPGs extended, but you can't count on it, right? So if we were making progress towards something, like we determined we need to have a new structure, we have some delays in construction, we probably get, we might get an extension, so we might be okay. The other option would be the town garage. Again, it did not come back very positive.
Right.
I talked to Jay, who's in the Energy Committee. He's had some experience putting solar panels on other pre-engineered buildings similar to the town garage. And he said it did work, and that he's not discounting that this assessment may in fact be correct, but he said you could potentially do a more involved assessment of the specific building, looking at doing measurements of all the beams and calculating the exact weight capacity of that structure. There's a possibility it may, with a more detailed analysis, it may pass. No guarantee again.
Right.
The other option is the rescue squad building. So we've reached out to the rescue squad, and they're, just by chance, their meeting coincides with this one. So they're probably talking about it right now. So in that scenario, what would happen would be based on what my discussion with Green Mountain Power, the location in this remote net metering scenario, the location where the array is located has to draw the power for that site has to be provided first before it goes to any other site. So in that scenario, the rescue squad's power bill would be fully covered. The town would enter into a lease agreement with the rescue squad, because it's the rescue squad's building, it's not a town building. And then at that point, we would put on an array that would satisfy the rescue squad's needs and all of the 5 town locations that we were trying to support. And we could just, what we would do is, depending on the outcome of their discussion tonight, if they were willing to entertain that, then we could submit 2 CPGs this year, one for the town garage location, one for the rescue squad location. It would be an extra $100, but it would buy you flexibility to give you the option to pursue these different things in parallel if you wanted to take more time. If they come back positive and we say, okay, we want to take more time than, we don't want to be racing the clock to replace the sand shed. We want to take our time, design it right, do it right, and we don't want to take a chance on yet another analysis on the town garage and just potentially have it come back negative. We're just going to go with the rescue squad, then we would just submit a CPG for that location.
Now, I've got a question. So, you said that since the rescue squad is not a town building, they own that building, it would be a lease agreement with them?
I think you'd put on a lease agreement for the use of the roof for a solar array.
So what would the cost of that be to lease it? Would there be a cost?
So lots of discussion between us and the rescue squad. So I think that what I envisioned was, and discussed at least through an email with them, was that their power bills would be covered, right? So they would have free energy with the exception of the metering fees, right? All the metering fees are not covered by the solar generation, so it's like $25 or $30 a month for that. So that would be theirs, and we would do a assessment of that building as well, just to guarantee that there's no damage, there will be no damage to their building. So they would have free energy going forward, and they would have guarantee that their building is not going to be harmed by the installation of the solar array, and they would know that they're benefiting the town. I mean, if there was additional discussion as to, well, we would like additional compensation beyond that, then that's open to discussion between you and them. But, you know, that's...
So, the energy that they would be using would be taken away from what we would?
Well, we would just, we would potentially have a slightly larger array in order to compensate. But I think to Mark's point last time, we'd like to make sure we cover all of the energy in the town. Yeah. But then, based on what we've seen with the proposals that have come back so their building faces the same direction as the town garage. Right, so based on the proposal that came back, we anticipate that their roof has enough capacity to hold an array that would both support them as well as all of the town buildings.
It'll just cost more because of more panels then.
It would be more panels initially, yeah, so commercial costs. Yeah.
So, I got lots of issues, I'm sorry. As we're discussing it, I'm sitting there going, I guess my biggest thing is, why would the town, or what is I don't know what word it is. I'm concerned about putting the town's money / solar array on the roof of another building that isn't as large as the town garage, that we may or may not have to pay a lease or a lease on. And then we have to increase the size of that to compensate for the amount of power that they're gonna have. I see a whole lot of issues with this. As far as, does the roof have we're back into this engineering thing again. Does the roof have the capacity to carry that many solar panels? Again, it's not designed for that. Does it have the capability of doing that? Is there enough linear or square footage up there to make up that 71 panels plus?
And we would probably need to get that assessed to make sure that it can, just like with these,
Right.
to make sure that it's a viable proposal.
If it's me, I go back to the salt shed or the sand shed and look at combining a new sand shed, salt shed into one and putting it there. The problem is the CPG, because we know we gotta have that building.
Yes.
It's gonna be the town's building.
Right.
The question is, when can we do this?
Yes.
I mean, I've seen these things take 2 or 3 years to come to fruition, so.
But we also know we need to do it.
Well, we know we have to do it, it's just a case, that we weren't really planning on doing it. I don't think this year, I know you'd like to, but.
Well, we've been kicking this can down the road for a little bit, haven't we?
Years that
And we really need to do this.
maybe this was the, if we need to,
This might be.
Can-
at least
It's only
get more
money.
serious about it.
In your ideas, that your thoughts that you've had about that salt shed, can you combine the two?
I don't know why not, it's a steel building. All they have to do is when you design the steel building, is design the structure to
Yeah,
hold the excess
steel.
panel weight.
Right, so you'll put a barrier between the salt and the sand,
Yep, but it's all gonna be one roof.
all one roof. So it'll actually be bigger than it is now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
And that probably you'll take down both the buildings
yes,
and everything out back, put in one,
yep.
all the way front to back.
One town even had equipment bays in theirs. Not that we need that or want that, but there are options, lots of options start to come on the table when you think about it, complete redesign like that. But to your point, it's the timing of.
Right, that's the only problem with that, is the timing. Is
Yes.
CPG is good for, usually good for a year?
Yeah.
Is this something
And we
that?
might get an extension, but there's no guarantee.
Right.
So I have, again, a question, just the idea of on the ground one. So is this the rescues property or is this the town garage property? Around the curve?
That's the garage.
That's the garage?
Yeah,
Sorry,
I trust Mark's opinion.
Yeah, that's- I think that's-
mine.
I wonder if there's anything, I know that part flooded during the big storm, right?
You mean this part up front?
Yeah.
I was gonna mention.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder about like taking out, so is that, taking out the equation of trying to put it on top of another structure, which is more space efficient, but we're looking at a lot more cost because we have to do it. And if we have this opportunity to be able to power all the town facilities by way of the net metering that we won't have later, I wonder if it's worth it just to get a quick, like just on the ground structure estimate, which will be much less, I would imagine, because those are pretty cheap for like those metal.
Or to put it
Kind
on
of
the
like-
ground.
Wouldn't you have to bring that up on a floodplain?
I was gonna say.
Oh, I don't know that.
Well, that's floodplain. Well, I don't think we are, no.
I don't think you're
permit for
right.
that.
Okay, yeah, put electric in a floodplain.
Yeah, not
Well,
that.
that was the question, was like, do we actually own that property? And two, is that a viable option because of how the flooding is?
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, put something on the ground down here, we'd have to get a
Yeah.
zoning permit to do it, to start with. And
Yep.
I don't know if we can,
Right.
we're just like
Yes.
Shannon,
everybody else. I don't know if we can
Yeah.
pull
You
it
would know
in a
floodplain.
floodplain.
Like
We already had that
Right.
discussion.
Even replacing a building
would be challenging too.
yeah,
Because as soon as you upgrade a building, you need to come up to the current standard, which is 1 foot above base flood elevation. So that's why the ambulance service is filled. That's why it's so much higher.
Yeah,
It used to be the same elevation. They had to fill all that floodplain in to put in a building to
Right.
comply with the regs. So where the garage is now is
is way below it.
way below.
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming, I haven't looked at the maps, but
Which
it's
is-
flooded, I've seen,
Right, it
I've
was
seen
flooded,
water,
the last big storm we had.
and it flooded in Irene,
Right,
I've seen that flood
17,
at least 2-3 times.
17, it flooded quite a bit too.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's 3 times in 10 years. or
And
something.
is that the salt and sand shed as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would have to be brought up to floodplain as well.
I don't know, if you're just,
Well, it's just,
you're just-
it's
if
something,
you're just-
we're just building a, kind of a
I don't
metal
know.
building with no sides.
if you're doing something to an existing building, it's different than if you're like building a new building.
Oh, it's gonna be, it's coming down, it'll be a brand new, virtually a brand
I
new
don't know,
building.
I'd look into it,
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah, so that's a question.
whether, if it's gonna need to meet the current floodplain standards,
Yep,
it would need to be elevated above the floodplain.
right.
okay, so
Okay.
And that's okay, because we could put it on 4-foot pillars, bring the steel building up above the
Right.
4-foot pillars.
But couldn't you do that the same thing with a panel? Because like those panels that are down the road on South Wallingford that are all in that field floods pretty regularly too. And that had to have,
Down here?
yeah, down that way, the one
ISLC.
by the,
I've never seen that.
Wallingford crushed stone
That's
has
not
never
fun.
flooded.
really?
No, never seen
The
that.
power station down there is in floodplain.
Yeah, the actual power station, yeah.
Yeah, it used to be in front of the dollar store, and then they moved it behind, and it went a foot lower in elevation
Yeah,
to do that. And there's a flood, a foot difference, doesn't make any difference how much water is, what's in the water, like a house, you know? I mean,
yeah.
So,
I'm just trying to think of anything that could make sure that this project could go forward.
right.
Whether it be raising it up to 5 feet or something like
Right,
that.
so to get back on the subject,
Yeah.
do we want to do a second CP, thank you. I'm like,
I said CPG before, and it's like, that wasn't right, that wasn't right.
a second CPG for just, it's up to you guys, but for the land and the building, and/or the building of the rescue squad, it's $100
Yeah, I
to
think
do an additional.
I think since they're meeting tonight, we should hopefully know tomorrow what
Right.
they talk about. So if
Yeah.
it's a thumbs up from them, then I think that's a good suggestion, because it's an inexpensive way to buy yourself some flexibility till we can figure
Right,
things out.
may not work, but
Yeah,
It's worth,
I think it's.
we've gone this far, we know we want to try to go this
Yes,
route.
we'd like to be able to
Maybe.
explore our options, and having
Right.
some flexibility might not be such a bad thing.
Might not be what we want, but it might be what we need to do.
So if it is a thumbs up tomorrow, then we could contact the consultant and say
Okay.
we'd like to move forward with CPGs for both sites. And
Okay.
then, next meeting, we kind of reconvene and figure out.
And so would this be for the sand salt shed and for the rescue?
So the one CPG would be for the town garage site.
Town
Whatever
garage?
building, whether either an
That would
existing,
be, okay.
a new structure, whatever, and then the other one would be for and I can confirm this with him, just to make
Right.
sure there's no difference between a ground-based or a building-based.
Yeah.
There may be
Right.
some question in the, he actually sent me the application, I can look through it and see what's there. But
Okay.
All right,
I don't know if they distinguish between you have to put your design in, or your anticipated design. So, I'm sorry, Mark, did you say that land there was owned by the rescue squad or by the town garage? The land in the corner
Town's the
Like on the
garage.
inside of the bed,
It's town, I think.
yeah.
So the land on the corner is the town? I don't know, that I don't know.
I think it is.
that's the rescue squad.
The land on the corner? Okay, actually, I can tell pretty quick.
Just curious, did you look into putting it in the parking lot at all, like down at the ball field?
We prioritized building, roof base, just because you don't have to deal with the fencing and everything. But now that we have these results, I mean, I think it makes
Yeah.
sense to look at other.
Because Rutland High School has it all over their parking lot, and I
Right.
think it's a neat use of space.
it's true.
Just an
And
idea.
square footage wise, it would be.
Well, there's 2 parking lots down there too, I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
There's the paved one, and then there's the dirt one down by the other field.
Yeah.
I don't know what regulatory hurdles might be involved, but I just thought I'd bring it up as an idea.
So is that considered floodplain too then?
It is floodplain, but I think poles are okay in the floodplain, honestly.
Oh.
Because they don't, it's all about displacement of water. So,
So if you don't have a structure that the water can flow through versus, I mean, you have a structure that's stopping the water versus letting.
I mean, you should look into it, it's not, the floodplain regulations are a town regulation, and Kyle Medash is the person at the state that provides technical expertise, like when the town needs help. So this might be a more technical question to ask, but
Okay.
I have seen them go in floodplains. In fact, on the other side of the river, there's a whole solar, and I think some of those are in the floodplain. On what?
On Fisher Road, there's,
Oh, yeah.
put in and out floods all the time.
Yeah.
But they're
even on the other side of
higher, yeah.
But even on the other side of the Otter Creek, where the old, I don't know what was over there before, but.
Yeah, we did kind of talk about it, we were trying to prioritize on a buildings, we weren't taking up any visual or.
Or rec
Yeah.
space or anything.
Right. Yeah.
So you're proposing much the ones at the high school where it's over top of the parking lot. So
Yeah,
you're
you
not
park
really-
under
you're not
all those.
compromising any space
Yeah,
necessarily.
right.
And you're
Right,
providing
just park
shade
on
to
the-
parking spots, maybe a charger spot or something like that we could
Yeah.
theoretically build to the town, like, to recoup a little more cost.
And the floodplain ends right around there. I don't, like, the other houses on the other side of the street are not in the floodplain, so I'm not sure exactly where it ends, if the parking lot's in or out, but either way, I mean, it could flood. Ironically.
You never
The
know
whole
where.
town.
Never know.
Not that it's a good idea.
So, do we want to then author, wait, I guess, you're figuring out whether or not it is, that property is on ours?
According to A&R's property map, it is, the property line's right through the center of the town garage, so. But I'm presuming it's on the backside of the town garage.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so basically, it's, we're stuck, we're done right over there, like even seeing
It
the
says the
lines.
same thing, 90% of the.
Yeah, the mowing, let's look at the mowing lines, the mowing lines let me know.
what's that?
Regrid says the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Property line, 90% of the garage is on rescues.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
So, I mean, I wonder if it's because if it's $100 extra for those kind of addendums onto the original, CPG.
it'll be a totally separate one.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so, but if we're doing it, if we're starting and doing one application, we can do as many locations and that's $100 extra for those, if they're within the town limits.
That's my understanding. I mean, I'm not
Okay.
sure how many the consultant will do for us at this one fee, but so maybe a little bit more than $100 per.
Yeah,
But I think we can do, I can touch base with him tomorrow and just find out, based on the timing, when do we have to get this thing in to make sure we get it?
right.
That'll, in the meantime, we'll know what the rescue squad discusses tonight.
Yes.
I like Shannon's idea a lot, and
I
maybe
do
look
too.
into that a little bit and see, I can talk to the consultant about, floodplains and arrays and differences in the CPG submission, using a ground-based array versus a rooftop, and see if that makes a difference. I mean, any other considerations from his perspective that we need to consider when we think about this?
That would be good.
Is there any, because time is so tight for now that we're actually in December, is there any thinking that we would need to have a decision before the 16th, the next meeting?
Well, I guess I'll know better when I talk to him tomorrow, but,
Is that, I wonder if we should authorize up to a certain amount extra for any additional sites to add on to the application
yeah.
now, today, and get that out of the way so we don't have to worry about that. So once you get to go ahead and say, well, this is gonna work perfectly, then spend it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So do we, thinking about it, if we think about two different applications, adding another 250 onto it, that would cover the 100 for the Wallingford rescue idea, and then if they think, oh, it's actually a completely other space than doing the other, they're doing like the
So
rec
would
fields.
250 cover all of it?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, if that would be enough. That's not too much that we're throwing a tremendous amount of money at this, but doesn't do it to the point where like, we're compromising.
So I believe 250 was so it's $100, I believe, for the submission, and, or 100, it was 150 for the submission and 100 for his fee, or the other way
Right.
around. So,
So it's 250 for each additional, is that?
I don't know. We didn't talk about multiple, he said that we could do multiple ones. At that point in the discussion, we didn't get into,
But we don't know what the cost is associated with that, with doing multiples.
correct.
Okay.
I think he might, I can't speak for him, but at worst case, we know there will be the 250 multiplied by the number of CPGs that we wanted to submit.
Okay.
Worst case, right? But hopefully we could get multiple ones in just for
And
the
we
submission phase.
were talking about two.
Yeah.
If we talk about the ground one, that's 3.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think some of it depends on what we find.
On to what we're spending.
Yes.
some of it depends on what we hear back from the rescue squad tonight. And then just to follow up on Shannon's thought, is there any other town property while we're having the discussion? I know we talked about the
Cemeteries.
We talked about the, Rob, you brought up the transfer station area at one time. I think that was, didn't have.
I don't know what's beyond the ball field, between the ball field and the bridge. What's there?
Yeah, that's owned by the fire district.
Huh?
That's owned by the fire district, that's a big wetland.
Fire district?
That's owned by the fire district for some reason.
They want to sell it?
They might, actually, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I can't imagine it's doing them any
Which one,
good.
oh, you're talking down south of the ball field?
South of the ball field.
That's definitely a floodplain.
Huh?
That's definitely floodplain,
Yeah.
Oh,
like 99% of the time.
Yeah.
It's underwater.
Okay, so,
So do we want to authorize any more money for these assessments?
I mean, we're talking about an extra 500 on top of the 250.
Right.
So what's people's pleasure?
Where's this money coming from? Just
That's a good question.
Ask
Where
him.
is this money coming?
That's what Julie wants to know. Just, and including a structural.
Like gravel budget.
Including the structural.
We ain't talking to you yet.
Yeah. Is this coming out of the building fund?
So are we talking building fund?
I mean, logically, it would make sense for the two building sites, but not for the other site.
Yeah.
Right. So the 2,000 for the assessments is gonna come out of the building fund?
That's what makes sense to me, because that's where we use those for building improvements.
Right, okay.
And this would be a building improvement.
Because we have this assessment invoice to pay now, which is 2,000.
Right.
Okay.
So do we want to do that from the building fund?
Do the 2,000 for the building.
Right.
Yes.
Right, but then we're talking with the
Now for the
CPGs.
CPGs, where do you want to take the CPG money from?
So we did have a discussion at the last
Okay.
Energy Committee meeting about our budget, and there was a proposal on the table to, any extra that we had to contribute to the solar project, just to help keep that moving along. I don't know what our status of our budget is currently.
Yeah,
We're
what is the
discussing that
status?
later, but
Do we have it on this?
It's, page 2,
Page 2?
under town government.
we had
You haven't
submitted,
used anything this year.
with that.
You haven't used anything this year, you're 500.
Yeah, I think, so last year, the money that we spent for the town hall lights will be installed on the 23rd, that money was from the prior years, correct? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have,
$500.
I think we could,
Yeah.
you know, based on, without taking a vote at the Energy Committee, it did come up for discussion, and someone voted that during that discussion. So and we're meeting tomorrow night, so I can confirm that tomorrow night
Okay.
before we need to pull the trigger on it.
Okay,
We'll be getting a lot of information in the next 24 hours, and I can,
so that would leave, if we were interested in pursuing 3 CPGs, we would be left with 250.
Right.
Now, what do people think about taking that 250 from the building fund, since one of them is a town building? The town garage.
Well, the town garage is, yeah, that should come, the town garage should come out, I guess, out of the building.
So that could,
right?
so that would theoretically at least cover 750 for 3 CPGs. If they're
With their money and the 250.
With their money and
Right.
the 250.
Yep.
What do people think about that?
So it'd be $500 from the
As
energy
long
committee
as
for the
it's okay
2
with the
sites
energy committee.
that are not the buildings, and then 250
So
from the.
there's a lot of contingencies
Buildings,
here.
Yeah.
To cover the town garage.
Contingencies with the rescue squad contingency, with the energy committee.
but the 750 is the worst case, right? So
It's worse, but it's better to,
some things may come off the table as a result of discussions the
exactly,
next
but we
day.
don't know, so we've got to
Yeah.
plan for the worst and hope for the best.
And the consultant may not charge that his
And they not.
time's over.
But again, another unknown.
So that I'd rather, I would rather,
I'd rather know that we have the worst case covered, and that means
what if we vote no?
What, no, what
we
is the-
save, everyone saves money if it's less.
Then we just do the ones for the building fund.
Right, so
I think
that's
that's-
another contingency too,
Okay.
is if, you know, you've pretty much got a verbal agreement, but what if it's a no on them?
Exactly.
And using that 500.
And then that's something then, if that
We just
comes,
need to make that decision now too, if they don't pay, are we gonna do the full 750?
Right.
Because we need, just because of the time, we need to, but you'll know that tomorrow too, right? Everything's tomorrow.
Okay.
yeah, that is a,
Where
I guess
do you want
the big question is if we don't get the CPG, we really can't do this project.
Right.
Because there's no
We've got to do it
benefit.
either way.
Right, because otherwise it would be a much smaller array and everything else, because it would only be able to service the town garage property or wherever it was.
Exactly.
So I think it's worth it to take, but where to take it from, I guess.
That's where just we need to go back and, well, we can always figure that out next time,
Right. Right.
on the off chance.
We just have to wait for a few
Mhm.
shoes to drop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna move forward with 2, maybe 3 CPGs, and we'll figure out the payment later.
Yeah, just so I'm clear on the plan around the rec field. So did I hear that you're gonna look into the floodplain, putting an array on a floodplain, is that?
I was volunteering Shannon for that.
No, it's right behind you, Shane.
No, I'm sure it's in the flood, I mean, it's probably in the floodplain. I would ask the zoning administrator and
Okay,
the state floodplain manager.
okay. And the consultant may also be able to have some information on that as well, because he's put many of these together.
Yeah,
That is a criteria of review in the section 248, which is the CPG review.
Yeah,
But as long as it has no adverse impact is what it's considered, which means like as long as the area can still flood,
yeah.
it's generally supported.
Don't stop it from flooding.
No, you can't stop it.
Can't stop it from flooding, but you can, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a pole is not necessarily considered, just like a fence, fences are allowed, certain things.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. So, no, if it's up on the, like
Yes.
the Rutland parking lot, high school parking lot, is that fenced in completely?
No.
No,
You
they're
park
up
there.
high enough, you drive,
You're not high enough so it doesn't, you don't need the fencing?
Yep.
Okay.
I thought they were moving away from requiring fencing, but I don't know, I could be wrong on that. Because I know for a long time they've required fencing and it's been an issue with like, people that are concerned about like animal migration and things.
And
So-
we're all set.
Yeah.
Okay,
We can move along.
thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Yes. Okay. We are on to ARPA Fund Agreement Extension Request.
Well, I'm embarrassed to be here. I think we needed to come in the summer. A number of things. First of all, getting that ARPA grant was wonderful. It was a real boost because you've got a small water system of 30 households trying to maintain something that probably could eat $1 million easily. But we had identified 4 curb stops that needed replacement, and the ARPA money of $9,200 was going to take care of that. So we have a maintenance operator, Randy Baker, and Randy was going to work with Phil Baker, no relation. Phil is the excavator.
Phil's right here.
Randy would be the actual curb replacer. And the great flood of 2 summers ago happened, and all of our local diggers and excavators went to Ludlow for months. We finally got Phil back, and...
And, just so you know, Phil's here. He's right here.
Yes, okay. It just became very difficult. Randy also, in planning for this fall. He's had a recent accident and broke several vertebrae. So he's out of commission until the spring. We're hoping Phil is available in the spring to work with Randy, but if not, FAS Trucking has offered to do the digging as long as Randy guides them as to locations. And a third backup is Otter Creek Engineering, which promised to help us find an out-of-the-area digger to come in and work with Randy. I mean, one of the difficulties is, although $9,200 was wonderful and huge for us, it's considered a small job. And it's difficult to attract people who want to do it. But we feel confident that we could do this as soon as the ground thaws in the spring and finish the job. Also, there's sometimes a perception that our area, the Highland district across the bridge, is full of rich summer people. And it really isn't. It's full of year-round people. I live there on a pension and Social Security. Young families live there with really meager incomes. There's a couple of well-off people who zoom in for several weekends in the summer, but for the most part, we're really modest resourced to maintain this system. But we did come up this year with $10,000 by contributions from all of us, an assessment, so that at the same time that we do this curb stop digging, we're going to extend lines and replace some really aging lines that were put in the 60s. The other thing we're doing is working closely with Fire District 1, the water commissioners. We just submitted a grant for a full engineering assessment of both systems. And if we get that, it's going to give us both the town district and Highland district a good idea of what remains to a priority to address. So I think we're in pretty good shape planning-wise, but we would really appreciate your considering an extension into the spring or possibly to your fiscal year, so that we close everything out within this fiscal year.
So are we talking fiscal year 2025?
So June.
So June 30th,
Okay.
the one we're in,
Yeah.
June 30th of this year, of 25.
Yeah. Sandy, do we need a motion for this?
Yeah, you can do that because you have an agreement on it, yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion to extend it to the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. All those in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ann.
Okay, recreation facility grant application renewal approval, concession stand.
Okay.
No, it's fine.
Okay, so we're just here to talk about this grant that we've been working on, which is to the Land and Water Conservation Fund at the State Forest Parks and Rec. And it's a pre-application, so they don't ask for a whole lot of information, and it doesn't need to be like solid yet. They just want like a general overview of what you're planning, and then they decide whether they want you to submit a full proposal, which would be due sometime next year. Printed out so we would be notified sometime over the winter, and then the full application would be due March 15th, which would be like a much more robust application. This is more just a general, like, this is what we're planning to do, and this is what we have so far, and this is our general budget. So this grant has a 50% match, which is a big match. But having 50% paid for is better than having none of it paid for, I figure. So I was hoping, originally, I was hoping that we could merge the erosion project that was funded with this project and have that project cover the match.
Yeah.
And that was what I was thinking was gonna work.
Right.
So I contacted Fish and, or Forest Parks and Rec, like months ago, and asked them if we could do that, and they said, yes, except the Land and Water Conservation Fund project has to happen before or at the same time as the matching project. And so that is where it all falls apart, because the erosion control project was just funded, and they're not gonna say like, yeah, do it in 3 years, that's fine. So we're gonna have to do that project. I'm hoping to meet with you at some point, you know, in the new year to figure out like, you know, an RFP and a contract for that, but we're not gonna be able to hold off on implementing the erosion implementation until we know whether we get this funding. But they did say that the only thing that can be counted as match before the Land and Water Conservation Fund is implemented is the design. So I included as match the design work that the town did for the erosion control project, which I think was $23,000.
Yes.
So that's something.
Yes.
So that's why the erosion control project is mentioned in this scope, because I'm trying to make it all like one big project that we're receiving funds from different people so that we can count the match.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it is one project, essentially. It's a facilities improvement project, just we're just parsing it out to different funding sources.
Yes.
So, anyway, I included money that Ralph has done all of the design work thus far, and he did all of the measuring and things, so we included funding in the match for that, and then I included a couple $1,000s for Julie and Sandy's time if we get the money, and then also like the board members' time to like oversee the project if it ever gets funded and happens. But we're still left with like a $10,000 gap because of the 50% match, so we'd have to figure that out. But I don't think we should worry about that right now because we don't even know if we're gonna be submitting a proposal. So I think we can talk about options for like other places to apply and fundraising, like whatever, when the time comes. But this is just like a general, like basic pre-proposal to say this is what we want to do, and then they'll let us know if we can
Exactly.
submit the more in-depth proposal.
Okay, so this is the step in order to be able to submit.
Right, this is the pre-application.
It's just yeah, it's just a pre-application.
Okay.
Did you have anything to add?
Not really, no, I mean, you've covered everything that we've talked about in meetings and the thoughts about, you know, the different parcels of funding and, you know, trying to do everything we can. I don't think any of us wants to see the building over there fall apart.
Right.
Right.
And, you know, if we put it off too long, clearly, it's gonna be a much bigger project than it is currently,
problem.
so.
And more
Without
expensive.
chance of funding.
Yes, and more expensive, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, I figured while the funding's available, we should at least put our
Try.
name in the
Yeah.
hat. And the other thing we did struggle with a little bit was like the budget, because Ralph reached out to a number of contractors and tried to get a contractor to give us an estimate based on his design, and nobody returned our phone calls. Of course, it was this past fall, and not a great time to be like getting estimates. So, he suggested that we estimate, I think we could probably spend more than this, but estimate $50,000, which is about $50 a square foot on renovations, and then we prioritize the work based on certain criteria, which we came up with, which is on the back of his design. Like addressing the code issues and, you know, code and safety and,
Is there any changes in Ralph's plan from?
not from what I sent you.
Yeah.
Not from what I sent you yesterday. No. The plan has been the same for a while. It's just Ralph has added some more comments. But yeah, so the bathroom flow is different. We were trying to like make the best use of all those spaces because, you know, the camp could use some inside space and that garage is not really used for anything other than storage. And so we talked a lot about like boat storage and where that could go and the flow of the bathrooms and the changing rooms and the fact that like there's no, you know, men's changing rooms, there's only women's. And so we tried to like rectify all of those issues like in the small space.
Right.
And I think we came up with a plan that addresses everything we can, including traffic flow, which, you know, would be like, you know, we were hoping to use the window that's there on the south side of the building so that people could check in on the south side of the building rather than having to walk all the way around, and so that the workers could see the people coming in and not just look at the lake and not be able to see the people coming in off the trails and to see people smoking on the beach or whatever. So we tried to we talked to them a lot too. We talked to the workers when we were over there measuring and got feedback from them on what they thought, as far as boat storage and visibility, and incorporated all of that into the design.
One of the other aspects that we discussed as well is finding ways to beef up the security. Whether it's reinforcing the windows or just coming up with something that hopefully can quell some of the break-ins and things that we've been having.
Yeah. Definitely a stronger door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess the question that I have, so the 32,000 on here, that's what the town would have to come up with for the match? Or is that I guess the thing that I'm still...
No, so the 32,000 is what we already have for a match. So that is the match. And not what we already have. So the 23,000 was the design for the lake.
Right.
So that's already counted, and then the 3,000 was Ralph's time to do the design. So those are already done. So we have those already in the bag for match. The other two 3,000s, one is if we get the funding for, Sandy and Julie to administer the grant and administer the contract and all of their time.
Right.
And then the other 3,000 is the board members' time that we would keep track of to oversee the work and the contract and just be available.
Right.
So we don't have to come up with that. That's all either already paid out or work that will be done on behalf of the town, but we don't have to pay for in additional, expenses.
Okay.
There, if you look at it, so we're requesting 43,000. We have a $32,000 match already in the budget. That leaves us with an $11,000 gap to make up the 50.
Yes.
So it's the $11,000.
$11,000.
Yeah, so it's an $11,000 gap that is not covered.
Okay.
So we would either apply for another grant, we could talk about fundraising, we could talk about the building fund, but we can, I don't think there's
We're not there yet.
a lot of benefit to worrying about that right now, but it's good to know that there's an $11,000 gap that would have to be made up somehow, that I was hoping we wouldn't have, because I was hoping we could match funding sources, but
That's not good.
it didn't work out. It
Right.
was a little pie in the sky.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a cool idea.
I thought it was gonna work out, but I quashed my
So
dreams.
the question is, and do we need a motion? Or can we do it by consensus? So, do we approve of submitting this pre-application?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
All right, great, well, I'll send it in, and if we get selected for a proposal, we'll talk again.
Sounds good.
All right,
Thank you for all your work.
thank you.
Thanks, Sheila.
Have a good one.
Okay. So now, for fiscal year 26 budget, town government.
Just very briefly, back to public safety. I'm assuming we're going to the dog warden and the dog expenses,
Yes.
just level fund those.
Yes. Are we good with level funding those?
1,200 in the
Yes.
dog warden and 50 for expense. Okay. I'm wondering if we could just pop down to 5157 in town government, because Denise is here, she's here with the conservation.
Thank you.
Okay. so
And I gave you somewhere in your pile, I emailed it to you, and then somewhere kind of at the very bottom, I think it's the second to last paper on the bottom, is the conservation's anticipated budget, which is level funded. It's right in front of the,
This, right?
this one, there you go, that's it.
Okay. And this is for the
Conservation.
budget.
It's,
And this is 5157?
yes. Town government, right.
5157, let me just get there. Got it.
And that would be level funding it.
Yep. Because it was budgeted at 2,500, and this would be level funding. Take a look. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
And this we can also do, we can
Yes.
just set it.
Yep.
So
Just set it
the
in
request
there, set it in
is
there.
to level fund. Yes.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for waiting.
Oh, no problem at all. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. If you weren't here, you know we would have questions, so it was worth it.
Yes. That's very true. Okay, so now, looking through, shall we start with 5112?
Julie, level fund it, 1,300?
Level fund?
there you go, good timing, Julie, just
Yes.
town government.
I was watching the camera.
Told you to close the door, Phil.
Toasty in here.
It is
Yes, it is.
getting warm.
Cold in there.
So,
Let's move over there.
so for elections and town meeting, we're good with level funding?
Yeah.
Okay. 5113, town report.
You said it's going up next year?
Yeah, so, no, this is the one that we're, current budget, it's going up.
Yeah.
The number in the memo, so next year, probably even a little bit more, so I think we can get away with level funding, but I don't think. we
With the
should drop it at all.
3150, so does everybody approve of that? 3150
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
5113, how about for 5114? The budget last year was 14. We just about have used that amount of money this last year. So the suggestion is to level fund for 14. All good with that?
Good.
Okay. 5114A. It's recommended to bring it to 475, up $50
Because of postage.
because of postage. It's already over budget. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be at 475. 5116,
Level fund?
Yeah.
level?
Did you skip 5?
I did skip, how about 501, well, I did say 5015 actually, so I didn't skip it. 5015, level fund at the 3,000. Well, the actual spent,
And you do have in your profit, if you're looking at that too.
Yes.
What we spent on those line items this year.
Okay.
In about November too.
so let's see,
We spent 1,700, so
and it was, we budgeted at 3. We budgeted at 3 the year before. Do you want to level fund that this year?
I would, because we're halfway through the year and
Okay, so we're gonna level fund at 3. All
Wait, where are
good?
you seeing the 17? On that one.
Yes, on 5115.
Oh, yeah, that, I was just, I had the wrong thing up,
That's okay.
I think.
Yes.
But, yes. No?
Okay. Now on to 5116, planning and zoning notices. The actual spend so far is roughly 530. It's been budgeted at 750. Would we like to level fund?
530 that was last year's.
Right.
Right.
You're gonna look at your profit and
Well, let's
loss.
look at that.
And that
And
one
year to
is-
date, we spent
235.
600, 235, yes.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Will we have the town plan going out
Yes.
next year?
Yes.
Okay.
So what do we think? Do we want to level fund this?
I would say level, just because if we didn't have the town plan, that might be an easy thing to kind of
Right.
snip, but.
But the town plan is next year, so
Right.
we'll level fund. 5117 is ads and warnings.
Level fund?
Yeah.
Hard to anticipate.
So then we'll level fund to 750. Seminars, meetings, and mileage, 5118.
We'll fund that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So level fund. 5122, records restoration.
I'm gonna wait on that until I estimate revenue.
Okay.
Because that coincides with what we get in, what we estimate for revenue.
So we'll wait on this one?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we'll wait, no decision tonight on 5122. 5123, Memorial Day expenses.
Didn't spend any last year.
That looks good.
No? Are we good level funding?
Well, actually,
We spent, yeah, 247.
Yeah, 247. So, level?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, we have, the VLCT dues are set,
Yep.
and the Rutland Regional Planning Commission dues are set.
Right.
Moving on to 5130, workplace safety expenses.
We didn't spend anything the year
No.
before because we got almost a $2,500 grant. So
Oh,
this is just for vests,
So-
gloves, eyeglasses, stuff like that, so.
so level fund?
Yeah.
I'll go with level funding that. 5133, dog license fees to state of Vermont.
Oh, I guess we'll just level fund it.
Okay. So level fund. 5134, civil marriage license fees to state of Vermont.
I would just keep it the same. We're already at 455 for this year, so.
Okay. So we'll keep that the same at 650. 5150, transfer station operating expenses. So far, we've spent 37. The budget is 100,000. It looks like the actual is 98,484. So do we want to level fund this?
Yes.
Everybody, what do you think?
well, we've spent 37 so far. Halfway through the year. So that puts us online for about, what, 60, 75?
Is that because we've been losing, so now we're not gonna be paying, we're gonna be paying for the compost, but separate, differently from Casella, so that will be factored in, and then also the Trex stuff, the plastic, how much that,
Yeah.
and the books. The other different recycling things that we've had that are free.
Right.
Clothing.
Right.
Right.
So does it, so we had 110, does it make sense to bring it back down to 100?
We had
Last year
110
we did,
2 years ago. Last
yes.
year was 100.
Last year was 100.
So budget 24, 25, which is the budget we're in now.
That's 100.
It's
sorry.
100.
So,
Because we brought it down last year, right,
Yeah.
okay.
so level fund?
Level funded 100.
Yeah.
Okay, level fund. 5151, town hall operating expenses.
I asked Tom Ford about with the heat pumps, like what we should do about the oil and electricity. And he thought maybe reducing our oil cost by 75% and increasing electricity by 25%.
Okay.
But I didn't look at the numbers yet. I don't know if that's,
Is this one that you think we should wait on?
yeah.
Okay.
Does that sound right? I mean, I
No,
don't know.
I mean, I don't know, if you're gonna reduce your oil by 50, that 50%'s gotta go somewhere else. And I know they're efficient, but
Right.
Do we just leave it the same?
I would leave it the same right now. I
For the
would,
first year and then
Just to
see.
see. yeah, I would, it's just,
So what would we like to do with the budget amount? It was at 20,000. Leave
level
it?
funded, yeah. Just, cause you have
Yeah,
no idea, so.
exactly. So level fund?
Yes.
Okay, so our next category, 5155, Rutland County tax.
No, what about cemeteries?
Right there. Or it wasn't on the,
Well, it's not on the other. Did we take that out completely last year?
Yeah, we've taken that off, Joey.
okay,
Well, just because we're trying to use up the CD, which we have
okay. So that's what's
5,800 in,
Okay,
and we're just using it for mowing, so
right.
until we do away with that, we don't have to budget for it.
It's not.
Okay. Okay, then, we are on 5155, Rutland County tax.
Yes.
So we've used half of it this year so far, so we
Yes.
might as well level fund it,
So level fund?
I guess.
We'll fund it, and when they set their budget by the end of December, if we need to
Okay,
tweak it, we can.
okay. So right now, we're level funding.
Yep.
Conservation Commission
We did,
Yeah.
2,500.
and Energy Committee,
They just want a little fund at 5.
level fund at 5. And so you're on to 5160, Communications Group expenses.
What was that
What's
for?
that?
Is that the
Newsletter?
The newsletter,
Okay.
No.
But then there's another line for,
right, it's offset by the revenue they raise,
Right.
so this is just a guess.
Okay. So
Yeah.
just level funded at 5,500.
So level fund,
Yes.
Yep.
okay.
And ARPA doesn't need any attention. Zero. Right.
Okay. So there we are.
There you
There we
go.
are.
Okay,
No capital.
capital. So below are the fund balances as of October 31st. There we go.
So we add 40,000 every year to the bridge fund.
Yes.
Is that the one I given?
Yes.
Is that what you want to do again this year?
I would say
I
yes.
would say.
Because we still don't know about Creek Road.
So add 40 to that.
And then the building reserve will be whatever it gets. Cell tower.
So we wait on that one? Okay.
I can get you that.
And then highway reserve fund,
Flat at 20.
so 20 for the highway reserve fund. Okay. And now are there other capital expenses?
Name rubber.
Would you retire?
Are there any other capital expenses we need to look at? That's it?
Three, yep.
Okay. And that is our budget items for this evening. Okay.
Those are the easy ones.
Now, moving on to employee gift certificates. Each year, the town provides holiday gift certificates to employees.
I'll make a motion, give everybody $50 gift card.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Do we want to do grocery store, or do we want to just do a Visa?
We used to give them a turkey.
I'm good with grocery store. It's worked in the past.
Okay.
So all those in favor? Aye. Okay, boy with the boot restoration.
Yeah.
Look at this. Kevin Mulholland of Vermont Forgings, located on Cook Drive in South Wallingford, met with Sandy on November 25th and has offered to restore the boy with the boot at no charge. We would at least pay for materials up to a cost of $500. But the work he's providing, he's willing to provide for free. He'll make space in his workshop if the road crew can transport it to a shop. Okay? So do we approve of Kevin making the repairs? And
How
we'll
is he
pay for
planning to do
materials
it?
up to $500.
How does he plan to do it?
He didn't go into detail.
What materials he gonna use? Don't know.
He's gonna, no. If you-
Because the thing is made of zinc, I think.
He came and visited it, and listened.
So he's got an idea.
I mean, I'm happy
He's-
to.
he's
invite
pretty
him
good.
to this
He's-
next meeting.
yeah. He's good.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
He's the one that just did this railing out here.
I took his pine tree rock.
Oh, yeah,
The
oh,
one in his front.
okay.
Was he retired? Or is he retired?
He's retired.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see if you wanna.
Still,
if
he's
you're
still
more
built one
details,
if you
I
want.
can put it in.
Yeah.
So what's our pleasure? Do we
We're
want
on
to
to
approve
holidays.
this? Do we want to,
I would say we deliver it to him and
Yeah.
make the
do we
repairs.
need a motion?
Or do you just do it by
By
consensus?
consensus?
Yeah.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
And we have enough donations and such
We
to,
do,
Yeah.
we certainly do. Okay. Select board comments and concerns.
Yay.
Hearing none,
hold on a second. No, just kidding.
I never know.
Deep diving into something, really.
Actually, I do have one.
Okay.
Well, it's more of a question. The flags in East Wallingford, I remember before somebody submitted, I don't remember who it was, they're starting to look worn, right?
Isn't that, yeah.
I cannot remember the person's name that did it.
It's Jim, isn't it?
Was it McClellan?
Yeah.
That sounds
Yes.
right,
Or John.
Yeah, I noticed the other day, I wanted to go by and look again, but I was driving by
So
in the
maybe
dark
we
now.
need to
And we
have.
just-
So
I just
under-
didn't know.
When we do appropriations
Okay.
at the next meeting, the flag budget's in there.
Okay,
And we definitely, because this year Kathy donated some of her salary
Yes.
just to
Yeah.
purchase what we've always been doing. So
Yep.
150, I mean, everything, we bought all brand new flags and could only get like one or two poles or brackets
Yeah.
with
Yeah, with what I do.
even using Kathy's money, so we need to up that a little bit.
you know, we just don't wanna have them hanging up if they're to the point where they're not supposed to be displayed anymore.
Right.
Even if it matters not having
Okay.
any.
So that looks like that's up.
Can we have Sam, I remembered what I was done to ask.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Sorry, it's my fault.
Yeah, see, maybe wonder. Can we have Sandy reach out to the zoning administrator and see what is required? If she believes we will be allowed to put a new salt shed
In the
in the
floodplain.
place, or salt and sand shed in the place of the one that's there, completely rebuilt, brand new. That'll be step number one.
Okay. yeah.
Seal, steels.
Well,
Well.
just, can we put something there?
Yes,
Let's start
no,
that,
that's
and
mention
then,
number one.
That will have a different
Because
footprint.
We
in
started on
location.
that once. I think we
Yeah.
had rough approval from a couple different state
Yeah, well, we
departments.
need to get a hold of it.
yeah, but I think we start right here with the zoning administrator, as it is floodplain theoretically, and make sure what we need to do to make that happen, and pick a size, and like General Steel's got an awful lot of specials on right now.
To the end of the year.
Yeah, so might be a time to, look at getting something. I don't know what we do for funding, but sure we can find something.
Pull it out of your hat.
I'd take it out of the road budget, sand, salt.
And my paving budget, just take my paving.
We'll just take the gravel budget out. You can keep your paper budget.
Okay.
That's
So,
just, like I said, just, that gets something headed, because if we're not gonna be able to put anything in there, then, you know,
Right, stop thinking about
you
it.
might as well, yeah, we'll move on to other things.
Yeah.
so we are in other business. There seems to not be a need for the CAI Technologies software.
Nope.
The camera that's being, installed in front of Town Hall is gonna be installed in an interior location.
It's installed. Huh?
If you saw things on the outside, that's being removed.
Huh?
The outside
They ran a conduit all
molding,
around
the
outside
conduit
the
that's
building.
running around the
Yeah.
building is being removed.
Oh,
So that will be installed indoors.
okay.
Hey,
Huh.
Julie. Bill's coming down next week to start installing the
Heat pumps.
the heat pumps.
I thought he was
Could
gonna
we
have.
follow one of the heat pumps from, in this, because I presume there's gonna be one out here, I think, was the plan. A heat pump in the hall.
Okay.
Could we follow his piping down into the basement with the feed for that camera?
I'll write it
Ask
down.
about that.
Just in lieu of
Yes,
going on the outside? Because
yes,
he puts a pretty big, not a pretty big hole, but he'll put a,
yeah.
he'll put a 3 or 4 inch hole in the floor. I don't know why we couldn't run a conduit,
Right alongside.
Romex or whatever, right along beside it.
And there's no condensation or anything worries about that, right?
But they're all insulated.
Right,
Any
right, they have to be, yeah.
So it's just a thought. That way you can keep it where it is and have that conduit right in that corner.
We are running the furnace, are we?
What's that?
The furnace running? Does
Yes.
it work?
Well, we're straight. One woman, I mean, right?
Okay, there has been a kick-up meeting on the buyout of the Hunter property. Appraisal looks like it's gonna be likely in the spring. There's a letter from NV7 about the AT&T cell tower lease. Okay, there's a draft. First Amendment to the programmatic agreement, including V-Trans. Okay. Okay. And let's see, the budget for the schedule for but is below recreation, highway, and appropriations will be on December 16th. It includes the recreation budget, including summer rec, and appropriations include all nonprofit funding requests, such as Gilbert Hart Library, Wallingford Rescue, and Highway. And then administration, insurance, and revenue will be on January 6th of 2025.
make sure when you get that agreement, like with the fights we usually have with the renegotiating that lease agreement with AT&T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep,
It's not that situation where we had somebody wanting to buy the lease out. Is that what it is? With that
No,
guy that
it's-
came in that called, like, he talked to us, that was the worst.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
my
it's-
God,
yeah.
they're gonna put something in that too. but,
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
They come in and tell you how non-essential this site is.
right.
You know, it really doesn't work, it doesn't cover anything, and they don't want to pay what they pay.
Right. They've done it 3 times.
Yeah, they do it all the time.
Move to adjourn?
Yes, please. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
meeting adjourned.
Yeah.